Mom, this recorder that you purchased for me, I mean, this was your gift to me, this recorder.
Yes.
It's a good quality. You don't need to lean into it.
Okay, I'm just...
Look, folks, I have to tell you that she has spent 95% of the time with her eyes on this recorder. Just talking into it like it's a memoir. Like I'm not even here.
It's like a microphone. I keep on forgetting we're supposed to have a conversation. I feel like I'm telling a story.
We must have a high tolerance for chaos. Learn to embrace the flow.
Forgive all that we can't forget. Regret nothing we can't let go. For despite what we have learned, infinitely more we do not know.
So let us tune in frequencies
Until lunar vibrations grow. Let's pretend that it never ends.
And now, it's time to start the show.
Welcome to the Opus Marcus podcast. I'm your host, Marcus Aurelius. You are the audience, a tribe of spiritual beings sharing this human experience, and my guest today is my dear mother, Maria. But before we hear from the person who is partly responsible for my existence, and thus the existence of this podcast, I'd like to take a brief moment and review its ongoing progress. As some of you may know, I'm a teacher, and I'm recording this a few hours after the last day of school. A good teacher will always self-assess at the end of every day, and most importantly, at the end of the year. So while I'm in that mode, let's review the progress of this podcast so far. We're 6 episodes in, and it's quite obvious that all the guests so far have been close friends, and the topics relatively loose. Now, while I intend to keep inviting my confidants to converse, I also plan to invite new people as guests, many of them with a specific topic to discuss. Every episode so far was recorded in 2016. Then I took a year to procrastinate and self-doubt before actually releasing the podcast. But the well is running dry, folks, and I'm already off on all new adventures. Tomorrow I'm meeting with a new guest whom I would call an acquaintance, and there's a few more guests lined up after that. So this is it, folks. The past has caught up to us. We are now operating in real time, and so I thank you for being here now. A common tool that teachers use to assess their students is the rubric. So I found and filled out this podcast rubric used at the University of Wisconsin. There are 7 main categories scored at varying ranges between 0 and 9. Here are the results. In the introduction category, we have 9 out of 9 points. Catchy and clever introduction, provides relevant information and establishes a clear purpose, engaging the listener immediately, tells who is speaking, date the podcast was produced, and where the speaker is located. In the content category, 4.4 out of 9. Accurate information is provided succinctly, vocabulary enhances content, includes some variety of informative quotes from some sources, occasionally strays from the topic or does not stay on the topic, and conclusion vaguely summarizes key information. In the delivery category, well-rehearsed, smooth delivery in a conversational style, enunciation, expression, pacing are effective. Occasionally, incorrect grammar is used during the podcast. That's a total of 2.3 out of 3 for the delivery category. In the interview category, 2 out of 6 points. Open-ended questions and follow-up questions are occasionally irrelevant to the topic. In the category of graphic and music enhancements, the graphics and artwork relate to the audio and reinforce content and demonstrate functionality. Music enhances the mood, quality, and understanding of the presentation, and all graphic and music enhancements are owned by the creator of the podcast or copyright cleared with appropriate documentation. That's a total of 5.3 out of 6 points. In the category of technical production, transitions are smooth and spaced correctly without noisy dead space. Volume is acceptable. Podcast length keeps the audience listening, we hope. Podcast contains limited subject tags, and podcast occurs as part of a regularly scheduled series. So that gives us 32.75 out of a total of 45 points, 74%. Now, in the school where I teach, a 74 is considered a C, but in the school that I went to growing up, a 74 was considered a D, as in the Opus Marcus podcast needs to work on its grade. I'm going to link this rubric on the main page at opusmarcuspodcast.com, so if you feel so inclined, please let me know how you would score it. We now return to our regularly scheduled programming. I'm not the first person to have a parent on their podcast, but I'm the only one who has the magnificent Maria. Not only did she raise me and my brother, but she also touched hundreds of lives in her 40-year career as an elementary classroom teacher. A few years ago, my dad passed away, and Mom has demonstrated impeccable emotional strength as she deals with the reality of living alone in her Florida condo and pulling me and my brother out of whatever quagmire we find ourselves in. Most people are shocked when they find out how me and my mother talk to each other. Chalk it up to us being Italian, or her zodiac sign being on the cusp of Taurus and Aries, but we do butt heads often. So if I seem slightly scurrilous here, my only defense is that I was on very little sleep when this was recorded late last July. That and my mother drives me crazy sometimes, folks. Growing up, though, she was considered by my friends to be the coolest mom because of her open mind, her acerbic wit, her brutal honesty, and her tender affection. Well, I still stand by that assessment. I'm proud to be her son, and I'm honored to introduce you all to my mother, Maria. Before I even press record, we've already got this is going on the airways. Is anybody going to hear this? What would be the point? The point would be to record it and wait until you're dead and then play it. That would be fine. We could do that, but
So,
there's no rush. What's going to happen? If we're all going to die anyway, who cares what goes out on the airwaves? The universal.
I have a reputation.
There's no reputation. That doesn't exist.
I'm being facetious.
I know. Turn the TV. Can you please turn the TV down? So we were talking about the 60s. Oh, that's better. I forgot how.
Before
how
I start talking
jarring
about
a
the
TV
60s, I was going to repeat the story.
Oh, you want to
my Germany story?
Oh.
Okay.
I know, but it's like it's a little deflated for me because I've already heard it.
Well, your audience, whoever they are, did not.
Yes, I know.
And didn't you say that you wanted me to tell that story?
This is, ladies and gentlemen, this is a classic. It's a classic story. Tell us.
That's what I thought.
What is the premise of this story?
The premise of the story is new experiences. It's pretty good, right? Okay. Went over to Europe. Graduated college. I was 21. And unbelievable as it may seem, I was still a virgin. There's a reason why I'm telling you this. Anyway, I'm going to talk like I'm talking to whoever.
I certainly hope there's a reason.
Okay, so anyway, we went to Europe. It was like my graduation gift to myself from graduating college. And I had a full-time job to come back to. So we went to Europe.
And to the country?
And then we wound up, one of the countries we went to was, if you keep your mouth shut, you'll let me finish. And one of the countries we went to was Germany. Because a friend of my companion, Agnes, very Italian, it was a Rumba, very close family. So we went to go visit him, and he was a soldier. I think it was in Stuttgart, but I'm not sure. Anyway, we went to go visit him, and he had a house that lived with a bunch of other soldiers off base. Anyway, the soldiers were very respectful because he warned them ahead of time. We were like family. Agnes was like his sister, so they treated us very respectfully. However, I will continue. Later on in the evening, they put the strobe lights on, and we were all sitting in a circle.
Can I just interrupt that everybody listening right now thinks that it's going to involve you losing your virginity?
Oh, no.
Listen, let's get that out of the way.
All right. Well, why are you... Well, you're killing the end of the story.
Okay,
Will you let me finish?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, he's like a commercial, isn't he? Anyway, so you're going to make me forget where I started. Anyway, we were sitting in a circle, and they put the strobe lights on, and they asked us if we wanted to smoke something. Well, I had never smoked, ever. This was the very first time. And I thought it was like pot. Well, it turned out my first experience was hashish. And I just totally got paranoid.
That's great.
Keep your mouth shut. I got totally paranoid, blown away, because I never had an experience like that. I've never done anything strong. Drinks here and there. So, okay, that being said, my mind's going ding, 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 ding. This time we're all going to go to bed, but there are beds all around. Because I don't know how many guys lived in that house. We found this one big bedroom. I had like 4 different beds in it, okay? Single beds. And one of the guys, he was very sweet, he laid down with me because basically it was his bed. Oh, the reason we stayed there, I forgot to tell you, we were going to get a room. But they had some festival, and every place was filled to capacity. And that's why we were invited to stay there. We had no intention. It just turned out that way. Anyway, it led to my first experience with hashish. We got done with that. I'm finally coming down, I guess, off or I'm sleepy, whatever. We go into the bedroom. And I'm laying there. And the room is pitch black. 2 soldiers came in with these 2... with these 2 hookers, and I didn't see any. Okay, and I'm laying next to this guy who was really a perfect gentleman. However, the 2 soldiers that walked in with the 2 hookers started to have sex. Now, understand, I'm a virgin, right? It blew my mind. I mean, they were very explicit and verbal. How high? How does it feel?
In English? Oh, because they're soldiers.
No, they're soldiers. And the German girls were talking with an accent, but they did speak English.
How high?
Oh, sex talk. And here I'm laying there, and this is my first experience.
Yeah,
so that's what I said.
How often do you say how high?
Well, I can't remember exactly what they said.
How high?
Or more, or whatever.
Yeah.
And probably the reason I said that is, never mind. But anyway. So, like I said, new experiences.
That's a great one. Oh, my God. I thought you were going to press stop.
No.
Don't press stop.
No, you said you wanted to get into the 60s. We started talking about the 60s.
You're right, we did. Well, that was what used to. Then you were talking about the late 60s.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, we should have started recording this when I walked in the door.
I graduated high school in 1965. Let me explain. It was a very, very turbulent period to live in. Our generation, I know they talk about the hippies and everything, but our generation was under extreme pressure. It was during the Vietnam War. And our guys were getting drafted. They had the draft back then. You never knew when your rear end was going to wind up in Nam.
Okay.
And we wrote to a lot of our friends. We had male friends who went over to Nam. And a bunch of us girls wrote to a bunch of the guys, which they loved the letters.
Right.
But I saw firsthand PSTD when they came back.
PTSD.
Or whatever the hell it is. You know, you never always get everything. Whatever. I always get things mixed up.
That's great. That's okay. PTSD.
Thank you.
Okay, but here's this. Okay.
I mean, they were really effed
Vietnam,
up when I came back.
The 60s, effed up when they come back.
Yeah.
It's all true. It
Yes.
all happened.
But it was such an interesting era.
But what about now? I mean, that's happening right now.
Yeah, I know. This is a turbulent time.
We have boys, soldiers, boys. We have soldiers coming back. That
I
have
know.
PTSD.
I know. Breaks my heart.
The same shit's happening. And
Yes.
talk about interesting times.
Do you want to know what they called it in World War One?
Yes, Mom.
That's
teach
how
it.
far back.
I teach it.
All right,
Shell
but
shock.
yeah.
Good old
So
shell
it's been
shock.
going. So different wars had different names.
I wonder if it wasn't until the gas that they started calling it PTSD. I think
Started with World War.
No, but I mean, like, what? Maybe I think it was more the gas. I don't know. For some reason, I feel like when Germany started using the gas, that PTSD became. I don't know why I'm making that connection.
It was. They called it shell shock, and it was during World War One and World War
Yes,
Two
I
that they
understand.
used that terminology.
Mhm.
Be honest with you, I don't know when they started the recent one.
It was PTSD.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I
But I
should
know.
Google. I should Google
But
that.
they're finding new and creative ways to cure it, not just mend it, but to actually cure it. But we don't have to get into all that.
One of them is with animal therapy. There's a whole other thing. There was a segment where they have these parrots. Don't laugh. These parrots that have been abused, and this woman took them into this zoo, and the veterans who have
so
this
by taking
condition,
care of the thing,
they've gotten attached.
Sure.
The parrot sits on their shoulder. They actually kiss them. Birds are very affectionate.
Yeah.
And
disease
it's actually helped them. Amazing. They interviewed them. And the other thing is with dogs.
Well, you said animals in general.
Yeah, in general. But our poor guys that have to go through that. I had a
about
cousin that came, my father's cousin. That was my first experience as a little girl, to meet someone.
Seeing somebody that came back.
Yeah, he was not right.
So what got me into the 60s was, I was telling you about how, well, you brought up the 60s, and I said, I've just been reading a book that took place in the 60s, but you're talking about late 60s. I'm talking about Kennedy, because this was...
Kennedy was 63.
This was 11/22/63
That
by
was
Stephen
heartbreaking. The way we heard about Kennedy, I was in class, Sacred Heart. We were taking a test, and the principal got on the loudspeaker. She had this beautiful melodious voice, and she announced that President Kennedy had. It brings back a lot of memories. Yeah, I get emotional with it because I remember, they made the announcement over the loudspeaker that our President Kennedy had been shot, and we were to stop all classes and to pray for him. So for, I guess, maybe X number of hours, we didn't know how bad it was. We didn't know that he had half his head blown away. We just knew he had been shot. And I think she did say later he was shot in the head. So we prayed and we said the rosary. Every classroom, they stopped teaching. We literally prayed.
Mm-hmm.
And then she got back on the loudspeaker.
Wow,
and
it was
announced,
a long time ago. I understand
I know,
you're emotional, but it was
I know, but it was
1963.
vivid to me to announce that he died. And spontaneously,
Mm-hmm.
boys and girls
Mm-hmm.
and teachers, we were all crying.
Oh,
This is
beautiful.
the truth.
it's beautiful.
You have to understand he was the pride of the
Can I ask you a
Catholics.
question?
He's an Irish Catholic.
Can I ask you a question? I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I apologize.
That's all right.
But it just makes me think of a question as a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think if the country is under attack,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that the well, I could see where this... Do you think that the principal should announce such a thing over the loudspeaker?
No, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the public schools will handle it differently.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, it was in the 60s, which isn't as strict as they are
I'm
now.
talking about just any time. I'm not talking about the 60s.
Well, I could tell you how we
Like,
handled...
what do you think policy should be?
Well, I could tell you what policy was set down during 9/11. It was horrible for us. They told... We were being under attack. Between...
Yes.
All right,
okay.
so
And
we
did they
would
tell
take
you?
turns. We all knew the teachers. But
Mm-hmm.
here was the rough part.
Right.
We would run in each other's service time or
Mm-hmm.
watch each other's classrooms so we can run in and
Mm-hmm.
watch what was going on TV.
Mm-hmm.
We were not allowed to say anything to the kids.
Okay.
So we had to turn around and go back in and teach like nothing was going on.
Yeah, I know.
We were all
That's creepy.
petrified. And some of the teachers' husbands were on reserve. And they got word that their husbands were being called in. I mean, that was, yeah.
My beef is that this was the beginning of this was when I was a 3/7 teacher, so I would do the mornings at Dan Barcy, remember? With Michelle?
Yeah.
With
Oh,
Michelle?
yeah. Oh, sure, the little ones. Yeah.
Right, okay. So, I'm teaching first grade that day, and this is 9/11, okay? And I do the 3 hours, and I leave. I leave school. Completely oblivious. It's like 11:30 in the morning. I go to work at Comar, remember? The other job?
Mm-hmm.
I go to Comar, and Rhonda's there, and, the whole people. And everybody's just, like, quiet and tense. And, it was an atmosphere where you could joke around, and everybody fucked around with each other. So
Yeah.
I'm immediately
You
being,
knew
like,
something
all
was,
up.
yeah.
Well, no, I'm, like, trying to... I'm like, what is everybody's
Yeah, you knew
problem
something was
today?
up, right.
And then I can't remember who told me, but they were like... I mean, it was just so absurd. It was like, the country's under attack.
Oh, my goodness.
2 buildings have fallen in New York City.
And all this you're hearing.
And I'm like... I'm like, why are we all... like here, like why are we not watching a television? Like why are we all just doing the job? And I mean, I guess that was the attitude.
You had to
the
keep
attitude
on.
was just keep
on
doing,
going.
just keep going. But I took offense to the fact that I went from, when did it happen? Like 8:30 something in the morning.
Yeah.
I went the whole goddamn morning at that school, and not one administrator or teacher or anybody told me what the fuck was happening.
But didn't Michelle know?
No, I don't look. All I know is that from the time I was in that building till the time I got to the next job was when I found out. Nobody
About
told
living
me.
in a bubble.
And but I feel like, yeah, isn't that weird?
That is weird.
It's bad enough you're in South Jersey, close enough to the action, but
That is.
I mean, not
I
close
can't
enough to the
believe that
action.
nobody would mention
That's
that
what
to
I'm
you.
saying.
That
so
is
going back to that
bizarre.
whole, just just keep doing the job, like, just keep doing what you're doing, like, don't nobody freak out, just, everybody do the routine. See, I don't know if I necessarily believe in that, because that attitude of we're just going to keep doing everything prevented me from knowing what was happening in that moment. Like, I missed
the immediacy of it.
Yeah, that whole first 3-hour bubble until
it was awful. And what was hard for me is we had to go in there and pretend and laugh and joke with them. That's hard to do.
Wow.
I wanted to go home and watch TV. Is what I wanted to do.
We all know the famous story, right, of where George W. Bush was.
Oh my God!
I mean, isn't that the supreme fucking? I mean, as just being
irony.
a teacher.
But did you see that look?
It's not irony.
When they whispered in his ear, he went totally blank. He looked like he was ready to.
Yeah.
In his pants.
Like, he must have been like, "Well, somebody knows what to do."
He was totally blown away, and it was all on TV. He looked very weak during that moment.
But was he blown away, or was he going, yes,
no,
everything is going according to plan?
No. I didn't like him. I thought his administration ruined
the hologram was operational.
Your generation, I have to apologize for, because it was our generation.
4 or 2?
Yeah, 2.
Yeah, you definitely owe us an apology.
Well, that generation, but
the
you want to
boomers?
know something?
Jesus Christ.
The Bush administration ruined our economy and started 2 wars, and when he started them, there was no funding.
When you say the Bush administration, you mean like from the original Senator Bush, and then George Bush Sr., and then George W.
Not so
Bush?
much George Sr.
Oh, but
he was his own. Yeah, I wasn't crazy about him.
You're talking
but
about
George
W.
Bush.
I was being facetious.
He made a remark that he doesn't know if a Republican president would ever be elected again. He put us on the brink.
It's going to be Trump. What are you talking about?
Oh, dear God.
It's the next Republican. Oh, God. We fucking went there. God damn it.
Don't go there.
I'm not going there with you.
Because you know how I feel about that.
We can't go there because it is 2 o'clock in the morning and Zia is asleep in the next room. So we are not going to politics. And to be honest, I have to go to the bathroom. And you look like you could use a drink of water.
Thank you.
So we'll pause this.
Why don't we just say the end, no?
20 minutes?
I don't know how long they're supposed to be.
We can... Folks... Please do not change that dial. We're going to play some music and then come back to talk to Maria.
You had to go mention my name.
We're going to make up a name. Today we're talking to my mother, Beverly Johnson. You know what the irony there is? The irony there is that I am also using a fake name for this podcast.
Are you really?
Yes,
then why did you have to say my name?
Well, you're right. I fucked up, but it's easy.
Well, you can delete that?
I can delete it. In fact, I'm going to put a bleep sound. It's going to be a funny bleep sound.
Okay.
Over top of it.
All right.
I promise.
You better promise. Because if you have a pseudonym, I want one too.
So my pseudonym is Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah.
So
know
you
what
can
I like
be.
To do with you?
What's your pseudonym? Mama Aurelius sounds so.
Just because I named you after him. You know the story about that. The priest thought I named you after St. Mark. I had no idea who. I just went along with him. But yeah, I named you after Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah, well, that's
how it popped
thank
in
you.
my head.
See, exactly, ladies and gentlemen. If you made it this far in the podcast and you've been paying attention, because I mentioned this in the beginning, that the reason why I'm using the pseudonym Marcus Aurelius is a pun on Marcus Aurelius.
Really?
Of which you actually named me after Marcus Aurelius.
Marcus, you don't think I figured that out?
No, I'm not for you. I'm just reminding the listeners that is where the whole Aurelius thing comes from. Of course, it also has R-A-E-L in it, Rael, the main character of
now you're getting bored.
Genesis, The Lamb Lays Down on Broadway, 1974. You're right, I am getting boring. We're going to go take a piss. We'll be right back.
You are, I'm not.
bottles because I never finish them and I leave them
I did
everywhere.
some teaching tonight.
You did some teaching?
Mm-hmm.
To who?
It's kind of difficult
To who?
to see.
Oh, about what? This should be interesting.
I showed her how to do the remote. How to access TV programs through Xfinity on demand because you don't have to pay for
She
it.
didn't know that?
Know that.
Are you fucking kidding? Really? All this time she's had the capability? Oh my god. I'm looking at the remote, folks. That's what's happening.
That's not on,
Listen,
is it?
let's not be hard because look at what she left here. She left
She is phenomenal.
hard-boiled eggs,
She's phenomenal.
whole
And you know what?
chicken legs,
Can I say something in defense?
pepperoni and cheese.
Do you remember when you had to teach me how to use the computer?
Oh, good lord.
You
were more patient? Is that what you're saying?
I was very patient with her because I understand what it's like to be a slow learner.
Yeah.
I was petrified and totally intimidated.
Mom, but you with the computer, though.
Well, let me tell you, she's worse.
Well,
She won't even talk about it. It's a sore point with her. She's
You know what's
embarrassed.
funny? Is you're afraid of having your shit broadcast, but you realize we're
Oh, I
recording.
forgot. But anyway, it's very hard when you're at least my age, and I guess it's an excuse, but it's hard to learn new things. When I got this phone, which is now considered old by your generation because they're like upgraded, it took me forever to learn how to do this. And I still don't know how to do this. This smartphone, I know what it's called, thank you. The smartphone is smarter than I am.
Only in some
But
respects.
anyway, I found out the apps were all updated. I kept on declining them. But then I found out somebody looked at it and said these apps, they told me, I checked, I don't know if they were telling me the truth, but the apps are all free that come with the phone.
Yeah,
Well, I
of
didn't
course.
know that. I thought you had to pay for an app.
No, and you should accept automatic updates.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Well, they updated everything because they hit the wrong button or didn't hit decline or something, and they went ahead and updated it.
You should update your apps regularly. I mean,
They figured this dope doesn't know what she's doing. I thought I had to pay because they were extras.
you can buy extra apps, but you only pay once.
I don't care. I don't even
An
use
app is like $1, maybe $2.
I haven't played with the apps. They just got updated, so now I'm going to go into a whole new world of learning what these apps
Oh my
are.
god!
Yeah.
Look, there's a calculator.
I know. I use my calculator all the time.
Don't insult your intelligence.
No, I need a calculator, which does not mean I'm very bad with numbers. Always have been.
Oh, me too.
By the way, I figured out why I have this horrible mess with numbers. And even after the stroke, it made me worse. One of the side effects that I had from the stroke is numbers. If you say a number, when you try to get those numbers from me, I couldn't get them in the right sequence because I have that as a side effect.
I know what you're talking about.
And right after the stroke, if you said numbers verbally, it didn't register. You had to go very slow, like 4, 9. Yeah. When people would call me up, it was something to do with business, and I was talking to them, I explained that I had a stroke, explained my problem, because they had to give me numbers and stuff over the telephone. They were some of the nicest people. I remember one woman saying, I will think of you in church. She said, bless your heart. She said, I'll take as long as you need for me to do.
Oh my goodness.
She had like a southern voice. I think she may have been African American, but she was the sweetest woman. But she wasn't
Southerners are usually polite, right? Isn't that the...
She just seemed like she had a warm heart.
Except when they're...
She seemed like she had a warm heart.
Killing
But
each
she
other.
wasn't the only one. Other people that I explained that to really were very nice and took their time and understood it was like a handicap. for me at the time. I've gotten better with it, but I still have some problems with numbers. But one of the reasons why I'm not good at math, I can trace it back to a school experience.
Oh, yeah.
I was in first grade, and we had this nun. She was beautiful. I don't remember too much how she looked. My mother and my sister told me, big blue eyes, gorgeous. Mm-hmm. She was the devil's spawn. She was the sadistic, vicious bitch that terrified us. Wait till you hear
she
some of the
needed
stories.
Some hashish.
She needed a brain transfer. Anyway, she was so bad. They always keep nuns at a school for 5 or 6 years. They got rid of her after 1 year.
Really? Even they got rid of her?
Yeah, she was really that bad. She tormented us. If you talked, she made you come up and put your name on the death list.
Wait, it was actually called the death list?
Yes.
It was called that?
She did. She told us it was the death list. And we were on probation. Let me tell you what happened to you.
You're either dead.
Let me tell you.
That's what death is, right? It's probation.
It was. In other words, if you act up again, this is what was going to happen to you.
Mm-hmm. You're going to be one with everything.
See, I'm not going to tell you. If you keep on doing that.
I'm sorry. It's very late, and I'm tired.
Then just be quiet and listen. So anyway, she was vicious. Thank God there were other nuns that were very sweet and nice. There was just something wrong with this. She was psychotic. There was a boy, and until this day, as bad as I am on names, I remember his name. And I don't know if he was maybe fondling himself, whatever.
What was his name?
I don't put it on the air. Maybe he's still alive or something. I mean, you know.
You're like 90?
It was first grade, but anyway. You know what she did? You know what she did to him? He was screaming and crying to humiliate him. And it was traumatic for me. All the kids, it was traumatic. She had all the boys in the class drag him to the front of the room and pull his pants off of him so that he was exposed in his underwear.
Oh my God. Oh, well.
The other thing she did...
It's only his underwear.
That's not the point. Can you imagine how traumatic it was for that poor child?
He deserved it for playing with himself in front of everybody.
I don't know what he... No, nobody... We were innocent. Nobody knew what the heck was going on.
It's sexual harassment.
She was vicious.
That's hard. No,
then there was another little girl. This little girl wanted to go to the bathroom and she wouldn't let her go. And the little girl couldn't hold it and she went in her pants.
Oh.
She made her, I think, go to the sink. I can try to remember. Or she went to the bathroom, the lavatory. She had to wash her panties out. And she had to come back to the classroom with the wet panties. And she made her put the wet panties on the radiator as a humiliation for wetting her pants. She was vicious.
Jeez.
She was vicious.
How old was she? You said she was beautiful? She was young?
Angela and my mom told me she was beautiful, young. She looked like an angelic nun.
But, like, how old was she? Like, roughly?
She was young. I don't know. I have to ask Zia.
Young, psycho, crazy nun.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to her?
I don't know. They got rid of her.
No, I mean what happened to her to make her that way?
I don't know. Then the other girl that she hurt was little Marietta. Marietta was tiny, little thin, and she was Italian, big brown eyes, and curly, gorgeous little black hair. She was very pretty. And Marietta could not finish her lunch one day. And Sister Grace Isabel screaming and yelling at her and told her she had to eat her sandwich. She looked like she was ready to throw up. She couldn't eat it, and she shook her like a rag doll. And she picked her up. I have to explain how the desks were back then. I don't know if you remember anything back in the day, but they had these desks that were all
who are you talking to?
Connected. They were all connected. And the front desk was just a seat.
I remember
that. You understand that
yes.
look?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, she got little Marietta. And I don't know what would you call this, 3 yards away? Or about this far away. And that's the desk. And she picked her up and shook her. And then threw her. And she landed up against the desk.
Whoa.
We were shocked. We were petrified. None of us went home and told our parents. Because she warned us that we better not. Remember, the death list. Which, by the way, you never let me tell you what happened to you when you went on the death list. She told us there was a machine behind the convent.
No,
They ground you up as they took the ground up meat and they fed them to the dogs. Vicious, psycho bitch.
My God. That was real?
I was petrified of her. She didn't...
Who wouldn't be? Wait, you said it was 5th grade?
I was in first
first
grade.
That's right. I'm sorry, 1st grade. That's great.
My first experience of school.
The worst
Because
thing
we didn't have kindergarten back then. That was my first experience. I was 6 years old.
The worst thing I ever did to the 1st graders, besides telling them that my hair was made of horse hair and that it was fake.
Kind of looks at sometimes.
But
I love your hair. I take that, and I don't mean to be.
I don't want to get. I'm sorry. I'm getting off topic from your
But
story.
anyway,
Tell that story another time.
in teaching me, this is how the whole thing started with my math. I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent, but I wanted to explain the atmosphere of this classroom. She calls on me, and the numbers on the board were 1 plus 2. Now, I knew 1 plus 2 equaled 3. I was petrified of her. I was petrified to open my mouth. That's why I was explaining what she did. What is the number? What is the number? Tell me the number. She's screaming at me. And she slapped me on one side, and then she slapped me on the other.
Wow, really?
And then I had to go sit down. Well, I guess she got scared of my reaction. I just went almost like catatonic.
Mm-hmm.
I got the sweats.
Yeah.
So then she got scared. I don't know if it was before or after the Marietta episode. I really don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was my thing with me. I started it. But the other funny thing was she had 3 reading groups. There was the daisies, the tulips, and the roses. You can figure it out, okay? You know, the low, the middle, and the high.
Well.
And because I was so scared of her, I hardly talked.
Right.
So she put me in the daisies, which was the lowest group. And I remember her having these vocabulary words. And if you could read, this is what a great teacher was, but if you could read all these vocabulary words, you could go to the next level.
Oh my goodness. Wish it was that easy.
And I liked reading. And finally I got up enough courage. I don't know how I did it with her. But I had this confidence and I was kind of shaking. And she called on me and I read all the words. So then I went from daisies to, for what I said the middle group was, tulips. And then did the same thing, went from tulips to roses. Compare that to the math episode, which was a dismal failure and traumatized me for life.
Oh, I see. Yeah, right.
And which was why I majored in elementary ed, but I minored in English.
Let that be a lesson to teachers everywhere.
But I have to say this in defense. The next year I had a 2nd grade teacher, and we had to go half time. She was an old kind of grumpy person, and she wasn't bad or good, just kind of a little grumpy. But then I met in 3rd grade Sister Claire DeChantal. Big nun, beautiful sunny face, smiled all the time, gave us love, affection, and that's when I fell back in love with school. In 3rd grade with Sister Claire Deschamps.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
3rd grade is when I became disenchanted with school. I hated my 3rd grade teacher. I mean, I didn't hate her.
A lot of it has to do with the teacher. And then from there, I had Sister Therese Benedict, who was another angel. We all loved her. Every single one of us took Therese for our confirmation because of Sister Therese Benedict. And then she moved to 5th grade, so we all got her again. And all of us, the boys, the girls, we were all thrilled. So what I'm trying to say is, yeah, we had some strict nuns that weren't very nice, but I also had some nuns that I loved. That's why I'm trying to give.
Yeah.
You know.
I had good and bad. You know what?
Well, you have
I mean,
to.
it turns out in the end that all the nuns were good people.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, by the time I got through them,
You got along, every one of them, your teachers.
well, I didn't like Sister Dorothy at first, which is ridiculous when you think about it.
Yeah.
But Sister Dorothy was kind of strict.
Yeah, but you got along with her. She liked you.
I didn't start to like her until, because I was respectful of all the teachers.
Yeah.
Because you were a teacher, so I knew.
Yeah.
They're human beings.
Uh-huh.
But she just was like...
And the other one that was real 8th grade?
Well, that was Bernadette.
Yeah, she loved you.
Yeah.
And then she had your brother.
Oh, Lord. We're not going there either.
Well, the funny part was...
Because
he
was
was
talk about somebody,
stubborn.
listen, when we talk about somebody that does not want themselves discussed over the airwaves, it would be him. So
All right, but let's not be negative. But the thing is, he drove the teacher crazy. The type that raised their hand constantly. And he was smart, but annoying. I hate to say it.
Can I pause you for a second?
But very smart. Yes.
I want to apologize for the dog, Livy, what is the sound that she is making?
I don't know.
In the background of this entire conversation.
I have no idea why she's breathing so heavy.
I think it's just her natural breathing.
I don't remember her breathing panting like that.
The other thing is, Mom, this recorder that you purchased for me, I mean, this was your gift to me, this recorder.
Yes.
It's a good quality. You don't need to lean into it.
Okay, I'm just...
Look, folks, I have to tell you that she has spent 95% of the time with her eyes on this recorder. Just like talking into it. Like it's a memoir. Like I'm not even here.
It's like a microphone. I keep on forgetting we're supposed to have a conversation. I feel like I'm telling a story.
Like my 6th grade teacher was this inspiration.
I don't know how I get along with him at all. I really don't. I think we're too much alike. I do feel sorry because you do take after me a lot.
It's small doses. Everything is small doses. This is why it's good that even like that I live with somebody that we're, I mean, we love each other and we're around each other a lot. Yeah. But of course, there are these periods where she's doing her thing in her world and I'm doing my thing in my world because otherwise...
You wouldn't make it. You need to give yourself space.
I would probably be the one to drive her crazy first.
Well, I drove your father crazy, but I'll say one thing about us. One of the reasons why we lasted for 40 years, even though I know we bickered, that we were very loving towards each other.
Was Michael?
No, we lasted. We lasted for 41 years. Oh, man. I cannot for the life of me. Why I have to put up with him, I have no idea. I'm still looking at the damn thing like it's a microphone. I just caught myself.
What kept you guys together for 41 years?
We gave each other space. You have to be close and communicate and have a commitment of love and loyalty. But you cannot be joined at the hip.
Right.
You are two independent individuals and you have to respect that.
You can be up each other's ass, just not all the time.
I don't think it's healthy. Maybe some people like that, but your father and I were very close. Very close. We watched TV. You know how we were with the movies and the team were close.
Right.
But
you were never up each other's ass?
Oh, that's disgusting. That is disgusting.
Look, to my defense, I've been up for a very long time.
No,
And,
for your defense is that you're acting like...
Well, look, I'm putting on a bit, I'm forcing it a little bit in front of the recorder, but you're talking directly.
I know. Well, I'm not used to the thing.
No, it's okay, but this is great. We're having a good time. It's just very late.
Well, you're going now. It's too bad because you know how I am. I stay up late, and now you got me all revved up on this thing. So
listen,
just sit back and relax.
I've been up till like 4 o'clock. The last 3 weeks, it's been 4 o'clock in the morning almost every night. I kid you not.
Oh my!
I went right to it because
We'll sleep in tomorrow morning. She doesn't mind if you sleep in. She already told me to tell you that.
It's like, that's my natural rhythm. When I don't have a job, I don't have to be up at a certain time. I stay up late when it's quiet into the wee hours.
Yeah, me too.
But
you're a night
it doesn't jive with everybody else's schedule though. The girls are up early.
I know.
Ready to start their day.
I told you I was the same way. My Aunt Rose was the same way too. She was a late night person.
No, I believe that about Aunt Rose.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that about Aunt Rose. Yeah.
She would work till 2 in the morning.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm doing. It's the only time you're not going to get disturbed by people.
I know. I'm a late night person.
That's the thing.
The only thing is, now that I'm retired, it's nice because I can go to bed or get up whenever I want to, unless I have an
that's
appointment.
great. That's what I mean. I'm on
But when I was teaching, I had to get up. I am not a night person, but I had to train myself to get up early in the morning and get out the door.
How early would you get up?
When I was younger, I hardly put any makeup on. I had long hair like Cher. Just put it back in a barrette, threw something on, and usually it was last minute I dashed out of the house.
So
as I got older and I had kids, I had to get up earlier. I had to get you dressed, ready, blah, 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 blah. So basically it was between 6:30 every morning.
Guess what time I get up every morning?
Well, I know, because you have that commute,
no, but do you know what time the alarm goes off?
5:30?
About that. Well, I set it for 4:48.
Oh, my. Yes, I remember visiting you. And you getting me up at that time.
Well, I didn't do it on purpose.
Yeah, you did, because you were taking me to school.
Oh, well, yeah, that's right.
Oh my God! Let me tell you, I thought I was going to die, man. That was hard for me.
It is the ass crack, let me tell you. And you know what's funny is they say, like, I've been seeing these articles around Facebook, like some article, and I didn't read it, but it was how getting up at 4:30 every morning can change your day. I'm like, oh yeah, motherfuckers. I get up at 4:48 every day, and it's...
What do you mean, how can it change your day? Was it an article?
Yeah, it was an article about, I guess I'm assuming the premise of the article was, you get up early, you get the bullshit accomplished, you set
in other words, raw, early morning.
More or less. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's definitely something to be said for that.
People, yes, it is true. But the thing is, people have their own body rhythms.
It's time management. It's how you manage your time.
Of course, you make a schedule.
Now, here's the thing, though. Here's where I would, where they're going to win the argument every time, is one of the number one most important things for an optimal performance. The number one, not one of the number one. There's only one number one.
Whatever.
It's sleep.
Yes.
It's not only enough sleep, but consistently enough sleep.
I know, I'm pretty bad on that right now.
And since my new lifestyle, I've noticed myself going to bed 10, 11, but the reality is, to get up at 5 a.m., you gotta be in bed at 9:30.
There is a book out.
I'm winding down.
I can't remember her first name. Ariana Huffington. She started the Huffington Post.
Ariana Huffington.
Yes. Ariana Huffington, thank you. She wrote a book. It's on the bestseller list. And it's all about sleep and how you need it. And how she was one of these people that worked all the time. Mm-hmm. And she passed out from lack of sleep.
Wow.
And she fell and she broke the eye socket, all the bones in her cheek and her eye socket.
Oh, jeez.
And she goes, because of sleep deprivation. And after that, the doctors, told her she had to slow down. And she has tips and ideas of how to help you sleep.
Sure.
She went into all the benefits of sleep.
Yeah.
The problem in my case is I always slept a lot. Sleep is very important to me.
You always were. Yes.
Yeah,
you're
remember?
the person I learned it from.
Yeah, I just slept but since I had a stroke, and I don't know if it's the medications they put me on, because of the blood pressure.
You have to get up to pee? Sorry.
No, I'm just saying that
It's just, you can't...
I can't sleep long hours like that. But they say that's very common in older people.
That's very common. And the whole story about, I forget how long ago or where, but they had the thing called the second sleep. It was common practice for people to get up late at night, 1 or 2 in the morning, be up for an hour or two, maybe even longer, do some stuff, and then go back to sleep. It was called your second sleep.
I've done that.
Because you would naturally get up. This is what I'm saying.
I've done that recently.
This takes me back to my whole argument about naps, and I know, but sometimes I think Nikki thinks, well, on the weekends especially, I do so much sleeping that it looks like you're being lazy, and it's not the way I view it. Because I work my ass off.
You're recharging your batteries.
But you can't recharge your batteries. But okay, let's take that all aside.
Yeah.
Going back to summer vacation, not having any kind of schedule, right? So falling into your natural pattern. My natural pattern would not only be to stay up late and sleep till mid-morning or late morning, but also to take a nap. Or even if I got up early, still kept the 5:30 a.m. Getting up every morning thing. If I had the freedom during the day, I would always
it's
take
funny that
at
you
least
should
an
say
hour
that
nap.
because a couple of my girlfriends made fun of me for this, but I did it throughout high school.
Yeah, you'll go down for 3 or 4 hours.
I would come home from school and I would lay down for a nap.
Right.
Do my homework, do my thing, and then went to bed.
When you're tired, you don't have to adhere to some fucking, you laid. I wonder, because we can't live in that kind of world. I guess you can't until you're retired.
Right.
But
exactly,
it feels so great to just be like, what, fuck it.
You remember?
I'm done with this world for now.
When I was teaching my work day, when I was teaching, I love Friday night.
Now I'm leaning into the.
I love Friday night, and one of the things I loved, and I guess I should have gotten up early, but Saturday mornings I slept in.
Oh yeah, I can't do that anymore.
Well, it was hard for me when you were kids. That was kind of different.
Well,
but later, as you got older, I was able to go back to that.
I mean, my body, physically.
Yeah.
I used to be able to do 12, 15 hours, without waking up.
Me either.
But there are two things that...
I can't do it anymore.
I can't. Two things are is I have to pee. Inevitably, I'm going to have to pee. I can't go that long anymore sleeping. And the second one is always a nicotine craving. Like clockwork, and that wakes you up.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Because, I didn't smoke as much as you did. No, I'm talking about when I was in high school, for crying out loud.
I didn't smoke in high school.
I did. I started when I was 17.
Okay, I didn't start till I was 21.
But when I started...
The same year you lost your virginity.
I didn't lose my virginity at 21. I was still a virgin at 21. Hard to believe.
Okay, never mind. You know what?
I try to tell you about the new experiences. That's what's one of the things that was so funny, is that I was exposed to hearing this stuff, and I was very naive.
Yeah, I guess
I never had...
You should have just joined right in.
Oh, that's disgusting. No, I'm sorry. At least, as naive as I was, I waited for Mr. Right, who turned out to be really Mr. Wrong. I loved him. He told me he loved me. We saw a love story. He was like Ryan O'Neal, and I was like Ally McGraw. And we were going to get married, and he took me home. No, he asked me to marry him. I went out, met his parents. who liked me and approved of me, yada, yada, yada.
Hold on, Bill?
Yes.
Bill, see, I remember his name.
Yeah, because I used to call him Bastard Bill. But I look back now, and, with the age, he was only 23.
Yeah.
I was only 23. And the thing is, maybe he wasn't such a creep. I think he just didn't. He was in love with the idea of love. But after so many months, that was it. I found out basically his modus operandi. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah.
His MO is he liked virgins.
We come back to the...
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. And probably I look back on it now that I'm older and had a great husband. I look back now and I think probably the reason he liked virgins because he's probably lousy at sex. And a virgin wouldn't know any better.
Yeah, well, that's a damn good point.
And usually the first time the earth doesn't move for you.
You've used that line many times, haven't you? Because
What?
It was just the way you leaned in to deliver that line.
What line?
The one you just said about he liked virgins because he must not.
No, it's the first time I ever said that.
Oh, really? Because you knew your
No, I just thought it was a terrific line.
I wish that you could see the people you're talking to.
But seriously, I look back now with age and realize that he would hurt
23.
me. Yeah, but his parents pushed it.
Wait.
They wanted him to get serious.
Is this the guy that took your...
Yes, when I was 23. Not the guy that I met after your father died. Not that.
No, Jesus Christ. No, oh my God. Look, let's stick to one time thread here.
Yeah.
You're talking about the Bill that proposed to you.
Mm-hmm.
The one that was his M.O. was virgins.
What I'm saying is I found out afterwards that his M.O. was he would date somebody for a few months. Yeah.
And he successfully, he got you.
Deflowered.
And then he lost interest.
Yes.
And you realized that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I was so naive that I believed when somebody said, I love you, that they meant it.
And when you say he proposed, like there was a ring, I forget all that.
No, he just said we were going to get married. We were doing the love story bit. It was very popular back in the day.
He played your ass. No offense.
Probably.
Literally.
The funny part of it was...
Oh, this is all you learned.
I broke up with him because I said to him, because I could tell he was being distant. And I said to him, and all I ever asked of him is if he ever changed towards me to let me know. Don't leave me hanging. And that's why I was upset with him, because he left me hanging. And then I got to a point he had given me a necklace, and I sent it back, and then he called me. And kind of gave me some half-assed excuse about why he hadn't been calling, and I said to him, do you love me? And there was like a hesitation. And he says, I'm not sure. I think I do, I think I don't. And that's when I said, Jesus. Wait a minute. With tears running down my face, but this was over the telephone. He didn't know I was crying. Yeah. With tears running down my face, I said, if you don't know whether or not you love me, that means you don't. When you love somebody, you know it. Amen.
Amen.
And I loved him. I thought I did. Of course, I didn't know what love was.
Is he the one that gave you the jewelry box?
No, that was David.
Oh, fuck.
David was the sweetest, and unfortunately, he's the one that should have been my first. I was 19, and we were both virgins. Mm-hmm. He was the sweetest, nicest guy.
See, those are never the ones.
If he hung around, no, he got shipped out.
Oh, well.
If he had been,
I should just keep my dumb mouth shut, right?
If we were very much on the verge, and unfortunately, I loved him. I really did.
Why didn't you do it for him before he left?
Because we were both naive, and we just.
What do you mean you were both naive? You're telling me that he didn't say, "Let's do this now."
No.
Really?
No, we got close a few times.
How old were you guys?
I was 19.
Oh, you poor kids.
Yeah.
You should have just
Was back in the...
And he came. Did he end up coming back?
Yes, that's kind of a little on the sad side. Anyway, I thought, well, if he gets stationed in Europe, I could save money and go see him. Do you know where the hell they stationed him?
No. I mean, I do, but I forget.
Friggin' Yokosuka, Japan, which is 3,000 miles away and very expensive.
That could have been an amazing experience.
It was for him, I guess, but I never had enough money to go. And I had to work.
Right.
And we wrote to each other for close to 2 years. Towards the end, it was sad. And it was my fault. The letters started getting less and less.
Mm-hmm.
I got antsy, so I started dating other guys, and I kind of fell out of love with them.
Mm-hmm.
It was 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd only been together like 5 months before he got shipped out.
Yeah, it's weird.
And this was long-distance romance that didn't last. But anyway, he also fell in love when he was there. He fell in love with somebody.
Oh, I remember, yeah.
It was a Japanese girl.
Yeah.
But because he was Occidental, he was a Westerner, it really didn't work out. I'm sure her parents weren't crazy, about her dating somebody who was not Japanese.
Right.
But anyway, he did come back to me.
Hmm.
And I met him at the airport. And he was a beloved stranger.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the same.
Right.
And then he invited me out to Michigan to meet his parents and his family, because we were still kind of going together.
Mm.
We were a little bit more distant. And I kind of panicked because I didn't know if I didn't feel the same. I didn't give it a chance.
Right.
And I was in Ohio.
Yeah.
And I called him up and I broke it off.
Oh, well.
But he was still in the Navy, and last I heard that he was shipping out close to some island in Japan, in Nam or something. He came back okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad it has a happy
But,
ending.
yeah, I'm sure, I think one time I called, many years later, I had this dream about him. David will always be on my mind. He was a wonderful guy. And I called his mother.
Wow.
And I wanted to know how she was very cold to me. His family probably hated my guts because I heard him,
Sure.
And she informed me that he was married.
Mm-hmm.
And had a couple of kids, but she was very cool. She would give me his name or where he lived or anything.
Creepy. Well, it is kind of
But the
creepy
thing
to call
is,
like that.
it was nice to know
Yeah.
that he got married and he was happy and he had kids. I had a very bad dream about him, and that's why I called.
Right.
I knew that his address was Mount Clemens.
It could have been...
He lived in Mount Clemens, Michigan.
It could have been anything. It could have been something in your life that was manifesting
in that dream,
that form.
but it was a nightmare. And he was being burned.
It's funny how you say it's nice just to know that they turned out okay, because that was sort of the...
Well, because I had this nightmare and I was worried about it.
The book that I finished was awesome. I mean, I feel like you should read it, so I don't know if I want to spoil it or spoil it for the listeners. 11/22/63.
Well, so don't tell the ending. Just give the premise of the book.
But it's just, you know how you finish something and you just want to talk about it.
I know, but don't ruin it for somebody else.
People aren't going to read it, so you just want to tell them, like, look, if you're not going to read it, here's the thing, blah.
Well, you always do that. You always tell me about the books you read.
Yeah, that's true, I do, but I won't hear it. It's a really excellent book.
Yeah, but 800 pages.
Yeah, but Stephen King is like that, and I don't read Stephen King.
Oh, that's right. You told me it's not a horror story at all.
I read one other story by him that he wrote. Like, it was his first story.
But it was about Kennedy's assassination.
This one was about Kennedy's assassination.
I don't know if I want to read it.
It's not... the thing that everybody tells you before you read the book...
I'll tell you something.
Can I just finish this one thought?
Remind me about Kennedy.
Is that you don't get to the Kennedy stuff until like halfway through the book.
Oh.
Halfway through the book.
You remember how when I first told the story about Kennedy, we loved him, especially the Irish Catholics. Now this is important. Later on, as I got older, I learned about his father, who was a creep and a crook, Joe Kennedy. I read his mother's biography. She had close to 12 children, I think 6 or 7, 8 of them, the Kennedys. And a couple of them died and whatever. Joe, the oldest, died in a plane crash. John, the president, was assassinated. Bobby was assassinated.
Teleported.
I'm the only one who stayed alive, but he was in fear all his life, was Ted Kennedy.
Fear of what? Like his liver dying? But
2 of his brothers were shot in the head. Let's stop.
Come on.
Well, it's not funny. I'm telling you something stupid. Anyway, the thing is, I lost a lot of respect for the Kennedys because John, he wasn't what we thought he was. He cheated on his wife. I heard stories about him.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we were naive back then.
Yeah, back then they didn't tell the public that shit.
He was like a rock star. Yeah. They were the most beautiful couple.
They kept everything under wraps back then.
And when I found out all the things they did for him to get elected, for instance, they pictured him as this vital, physical, great human being that played all these sports, which the family was very sports-oriented. But he had Addison's disease, and in fact was in very poor health.
Yep.
And it's just amazing, the sham. And they were able, in this day and age, there's no way they would have been able to pull that off.
In this day and age, there are much subtler ways to create an image for people. I mean, it still happens.
Yes, but you have, right now, one of the things that I think is great is that with the cell phone, that you can take a video. I'm serious about this.
I know.
What the African Americans have been saying for years, they've been targeted. And as much as I love the police because I feel they're doing a good job, there are many good ones. However, that being said, nobody gave any credence to the blacks. What's happening to them now? Richard Pryor did a whole... Richard Pryor was a fantastic comedian, in case any of you don't know. But Richard Pryor did a whole riff on what it was like to be black and how to deal with the police back in 1975. This has been going on for years, the intimidation. And now, with being able to record, it is showing that the black people, our African Americans, were right all the time. It's being proven and shown
they're not going
on
to be
video.
able to, but they're not going to be able to prove or show it on video anymore.
They've already done it.
No, I know.
It's on TV.
Yeah,
they just did it.
Remember the new technology that I told you about? Okay, so I'll remind you. It's okay. I'll remind you. So they have this new technology that who developed iPhone? Apple developed. Because, and I saw it tonight at a Genesis cover band, right? People with their cell phones out recording live video of the concert, and all this shit goes up on YouTube. Anybody can see it. So of course the artists and the performers, they're pissed off.
Like that because it's not getting...
Right. So Apple invents this technology that they broadcast some sort of infrared beam over top the audience or whatever in that room, and it detects any phone within range and remotely turns off all video or audio recording capabilities.
But you think they're going to be able to do that for people on the outside?
Of course they will.
Oh, that's terrible.
Of course they will. That's how they introduce these things.
That's
they introduce them with the, we got to stop people from recording concerts illegally, right? That's the excuse for introducing the technology, right? And then the technology's in. I mean, who's to say that the law enforcement...
What's going to happen?
Let me tell you something that I noticed, and maybe there's a scientific explanation for this, there might be. I noticed that when I'm streaming... I have unlimited data plan, like for real unlimited, not some bullshit lie. Like I'm grandfathered into Sprint. So I stream stuff from my cell phone all the time when I'm driving. I stream it from the internet. Most people can't do that because their data prices would be outrageous. This is crazy. It's correlation without causation, folks, but I swear to you, every time there's a police car nearby, my streaming gets cut off. And I think it's I'm always like, well, it's got to be their CB or whatever communications they're using somehow interferes with the wireless. But I mean, I'm pretty sure of this, that they have technology, certain police units do, where they can literally listen in on phone conversations from the car and target a cell phone.
That's kind of scary, isn't
But,
it?
it's scary to think that
It's Orwellian.
if there's a human rights violation taking place, that the powers that be that don't want that broadcasted will have the capability to stop that.
That's what I said, it's Orwellian.
It's more than Orwellian. I'm getting deja vu because I feel like that's exactly what you said. It is Orwellian. But did he foresee this crazy invention? No, this next one I'm about to tell you about. And I'm repeating myself.
But you haven't read, you haven't read Asimov. And
Yes, I had.
Well, did any of them bring anything? I know that one of the books, I can't remember which, I think it was Brave New World by Huxley.
Yeah.
He predicted cloning.
Wow, cloning has been...
But that, I know, because it's no big deal now. But
I don't think you can pin it right back to him, though.
Well, he wrote the book before anybody could think of it. We thought it was just way out. Unbelievable stuff. When these books...
I'm just saying that he predicted it, that's all.
His character, he wrote the whole... That's why it's called Brave New World, because one of these men they were supposed to have sex. It's just hard for me to remember.
Yeah.
They weren't supposed to have sex.
I never read it.
And they just cloned individuals.
Right, okay.
And one of them was born from a natural birth, so he was like an oddity. And the whole book was about that.
Gotcha.
And nobody even thought of the idea of them being able to replicate anything in a laboratory when this was written. Everybody thought it was way out.
Right.
Most of your science fiction stories...
Not most, all.
Almost all. Of your science fiction stories sound like way out, unforeseeable things. And in this day and age, it's come to pass.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is where I take the opportunity to tell you, because I know that 99% of the people listening to this, even if they're into science fiction, have not read Dune. And maybe you've seen the crappy ass 1984 movie.
Marcus,
I know you haven't seen the miniseries.
What you taught me into reading.
God bless you. I'm not talking to you when I say this, because you of all people know, or at least have some memory of the amount of prediction. When you talk about science fiction being the predictor of the future,
that was one of them.
Where we are now and where we're headed, like in the near future with technology and all this, Dune comes so very close. And I know people were going to be like, well, what about this series? What about this book?
Dune is,
this book is
to
bigger.
me, I don't think
Dune.
It comes, in my opinion, I like Dune, I read it, but I don't think they did the same thing as Huxley, and I don't think they... Excuse me,
You're talking about Frank Herbert?
I'm just... Yeah. He wasn't as prescient as they were.
Prescient?
Thank you.
You're using the word prescient to refer to Dune? Dune is about prescience.
I understand that. That's what they say. But I don't think it was as telling as this cloning thing.
I think it was.
The other thing was Jules Verne back in his day, which was, the 19th century?
Yeah, but...
Wait a minute. When he talked about the submarine, they couldn't even fathom a ship underwater.
Mom. So when Frank Herbert had characters that had learned how to pass their life memories, their actual
telepathically.
See, you say telepathically, right? And they called it other memory. And in the book, it was always stated that it was in your cells, that each individual cell just like it contains your genes, it also
like your DNA. Yeah.
Okay.
That's true. I didn't remember that.
Now, and so that this data can be passed on.
Mm-hmm.
They have successfully begun. You know, like you store information on a hard drive, like I got stuff stored on the phone. They have successfully stored ones and zeros inside a DNA molecule.
Oh my goodness.
That's memory being stored in DNA, in the cells, being passed down. That is only one of the many things that Frank Herbert I'm not saying outright, flat, predicted, but when you talk about prescience, about a person who was able to see the things that were developing at his time, see the trends, and have that long-term vision to go, okay, when humanity mates with technology, when technology reaches the point of being artificial intelligence and as smart as humans, and he's like, okay, what happens then? And I know many science fiction authors have gone to, well, what happens then? But, well, in the Dune world, the machines take over, worst case scenario, and there are centuries of war with the machines. And the original Dune picks up way after all that, when human beings have a law that forbids the creation of any machine in the likeness of a human brain. They can only use machines that don't reach that level of
that possibly could happen in the future.
Right. Instead, they, as human beings, and this is also now today proven, they optimize themselves. Human beings optimize themselves. So when you talk about things that are telepathic, the Bene Gesserit and its women, they're nuns.
Yeah, I remember.
You talk about nuns, remember?
Yes.
I mean, they're the ones that first learned how to do it. They're not nuns, but this order of women.
Yeah.
And they understand that the brain can be a computer, that the body can be controlled, nerve by nerve, muscle by muscle, and that you make the human body the computer and the weapon and this advanced.
Oh, all right.
And that's where technology is going. Technology is going to be so integrated in the physical, organic
people
world.
People sometimes put a genre of science fiction and they put it down.
Oh, yeah.
But so many things have been, like you said, foreseeing into the future. Also, many of the, at least back in the 60s, things that they did in the name of science fiction got away with some really controversial stuff. But because it happened on another planet or whatever. Like, for instance, the very first interracial kiss happened on Star Trek between
Sulu and Kirk.
Yeah. But that was considered, which at this point is so racist, but people were shocked.
Mom.
No, Sulu, not Sulu. It was Aurora, whatever.
Aurora?
Yeah.
And Aurora.
I can't remember her name.
It was funny, Mom, because Sulu is the Asian George Takei.
I know, I don't need him. I got
Takei.
mixed up with the names. I was about to say, wait a minute, that wasn't her name.
And he's gay.
I know who
But
he
he
is.
was
Takei.
Sulu at the time. The character is not gay. But it's a debate now because in the new Star Trek movie, they're going to make Sulu gay.
Yeah.
Your follow up on this?
I did follow up
on The View. That's where you learned it, right?
I can't remember where I heard it.
But you're on top of shit. You know what's going on.
Yes, I do, and I can't wait to see it.
You know why? It's because you watch television.
Yeah.
I don't watch TV.
I can't wait. The new Star Trek movie is coming out now.
Do you know?
It is out, I think.
It is out. Do you know that
I want to see it so bad.
Let's go see it. Because I had a choice.
How can we? How long are you going to be here?
I have to be back by 5 tomorrow. Here's the thing. I had a choice yesterday of seeing, are you ready for this? The new Star Trek movie, or the new Ghostbusters movie.
I think as much as I would like the Ghostbusters movie to be as good as I don't know, I've heard mixed reviews about it.
Mixed? You mean either it's utter fucking garbage or it's pure, complete trash? Those are the mixed reviews.
I haven't read any of the reviews on it.
The joke there is that it's a horrible movie, and
is
pretty much
really?
Across the board, everybody is It's unanimously
Panned
agreed
it?
upon. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I feel so bad.
Oh, please.
Because of the women, yeah. Women have had a difficult time to make it through comedy.
Fine, but does the battleground have to be
No.
a Ghostbusters movie?
It should, well, they were trying to do something unique, and Ghostbusters was so...
What they didn't understand was Ghostbusters is not about men. It's not about women. What it's about is chemistry. The girls did not have the same chemistry that those guys did. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. That's where it failed. It's not because they were women. It's not because women aren't funny. It's because those women... there are tons of women out there that could have maybe pulled this off. And Mike Stolklasa, the guy that does the reviews that I love, Red Letter Media.
Yeah, well, I have...
He said it perfectly. He's like... Actually, the fact that it was women was the new movie's best asset, because then you didn't have a bunch of guys that were trying to live up to, or you were free of that. The girls were not funny and didn't have chemistry, and when the camera was put on them in moments that were clearly meant for them to improvise, it just wasn't funny. So, Ghostbusters the original Ghostbusters was not about the proton pass.
I thought it was fantastic.
It's the dynamic between the characters.
Oh, and they said about the plot. They said the plot wasn't that good either.
Oh my God!
I don't even know what the plot is.
Derivative, tripe, hackneyed. There are many things I could say.
Well, I guess I'm not going to go see that one.
Look, I'm spoiling this one. Are you ready? Climax of the movie.
I haven't seen it.
You just said.
Well, I'm not going to go out and see it until it comes on TV, and then I'm going to watch it. So don't tell me the end.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I am serious. I am serious. When I watch something, I want to experience what it's like first. Listen, I'm glad you told me, because I'm not going to waste my money on it. I'll wait till it comes on TV, but I want to watch it.
You're going to watch it?
Sure.
It's really bad.
Well, maybe I'll just watch it just to see how bad they are.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I did. That goes back to the original story of why I chose Ghostbusters. In fact, mentioning Red Letter Media, they did their review of it. But on Thursday, they had it released. Right. Well, I was going to take Devon, and she couldn't go, or we didn't go on Wednesday, because I was broke. On Thursday, I wasn't, but then I couldn't. But then I couldn't take her.
No comment.
Yeah, no comment. But I couldn't take her on Thursday. So by Friday, when her dad picked her up, I was like, I'm going to this movie by myself, only because I wanted to see their review of it, but I wanted to see the movie first. That light's too bright.
Yeah, it's like shining in my eyes, but we shut it off. There's no light. I mean, I guess I could put that lamp on.
I'm just bored, people. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. We gotta wrap this up. Seriously.
You're tired. I'm not as tired as you are. Unfortunately, you got me going now. So, I'm going to make sure that we got to put all this food back. I think this is the end of our little program. So...
That's it? I feel like we could have gone much deeper.
I thought you said you wanted to go to bed. It was 3 o'clock in the morning.
You're right.
You just said, let's wrap this up.
No, you're right.
So we're going to wrap it up or not?
Yes, we will.
I can stay up.
Well, I can stay up. I just don't know if I can form a conversation any longer.
Well, maybe they're tired of hearing from
what's...
you and they can hear from me.
Good,
I think my stories are more interesting.
Why don't we hear from you about me?
Why?
I want it because I'm curious.
Oh, how egotistical you are.
You're damn right.
Okay, what are you going to ask me about?
That's why it's called the Opus Marcus podcast.
Okay,
I mean,
so...
damn right it's egotistical.
All right, so what do you want to know about you? You have to ask me questions and I'll try
I know that
the
I was
best.
conceived... You drank a bottle of spumani. You had a love-in weekend. It was on purpose. I was conceived.
Both of you
know
were.
what? Let's go right to it.
Both of you
Let's go
were.
right to it.
Sure.
You know, one of my greatest fears in life, like Devon asked me the other day, what are you most afraid of? And the first thing I said was, I turned to her and I said, suffering before death. She just looked at me.
That is kind of awful.
That's what I'm afraid of. But then I said, okay. I said, look, I got something for you. I said something that really scares the hell. I said, you know when people are dead and they're in a coffin? She's like, yeah. I said, you know how, like, if you were in there, you couldn't move your arms and your legs at all. I mean, I guess you can a little bit.
Oh.
That, and you call it claustrophobia, but it's not claustrophobia because I went, you know,
I remember
spelunking
you
in the caves in Kentucky, and it didn't bother me. I pinpointed it. It's not being able to move my arms. It's being in that really tight space and not being able to push my way out or move my arms or my legs. It's that confined, trapped, I'm like my body's trapped.
Oh, how awful.
It's fucking terrifying.
Well, I hope you don't keep on dwelling on it.
Well, I hope I don't. But see, I have this whole thing with it because you know how you get imprinted at a very young age of things? So I have this crazy idea about where this fear came from. The fear came from when I was coming out of you and got stuck and went into fetal heart distress. I couldn't move myself. I couldn't break out. I couldn't break free.
They delivered you with 4 steps.
And they delivered me with... I fucking came into this world not even being able to come into this world correctly. Talk about a late bloomer. Jesus Christ.
You know, as far as that goes, look what people have to have cesareans.
Okay, here's my
women. I said people.
Here's
women.
my other fear that I don't know if I've ever actually... Because I've told other people that much so far. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I told them this. So my fear is that when I die, which is just another form of rebirth, that I'm going to get stuck again. Because everything's a circle. That I'm going to need to be pulled out, you know, by the forceps of some like higher dimensional being. Because once again, this fuck is terrified to force his way out of the hole, or whatever.
I think part of the problem, too, is the way they handled it. They were so stupid. When a woman has a baby, and even, like, natives know this, you should be sitting up. They strapped me down.
Well...
To check.
Don't put your hand up. You know what the best position to have a baby is, right?
Not laying flat on your back.
No. Doggy style.
I know.
You know, squatting.
I did that.
Take a shit.
I did that.
That's how you gave birth to me?
I automatically went into that position, and then
On the bed?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just want to visualize this. I'm looking at I'm you.
I'm going through labor.
You're facing the end of the bed, like you're laying in the bed the way you normally would.
Yeah.
But then you suddenly straddle up on the bed.
What happened was when I started to have the contractions that were very strong towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
They become very strong. Mm-hmm. You almost become animalistic.
Yes.
You have to get that out.
I get it, yeah.
So when I started to push, I sat up in bed the way you're supposed to. It was just an automatic thing. Almost, and sometimes you sit up, and sometimes you can actually like get on all fours. You get in any position.
But that's the best position. All fours.
Yes, but what I'm saying to you is, it was natural for me. Where they hurt me, bad thing they did is they made me lay flat.
They made you go back down, and that's when I got stuck.
And they put the wire up me and attached it to your head or something. And
what wire?
They were monitoring your heart. I hadn't given birth to you yet.
Oh, okay.
And then they said push, and I was pushing, and then you weren't coming out, I guess, as fast as they wanted me to, and they said that it was distress on the fetal heart monitor, and the doctor didn't want to take any chances. So he said, he gave me a spinal. Dr. Pramonte.
And what, spinal epidural, you mean? Like a pain thing?
Well, no, I didn't get the epidural. It was too late for that. But one of the good things, I was blessed, and that my hard labor only lasted 8 hours. Of course, felt like an eternity. Some women can go 10, 15 hours.
Okay, so he takes these big giant forceps and just pulls me out. Mm-hmm. And that's why my head, I mean, I think my head looks a little lumpy in the baby pictures.
It was.
You're really supposed to be like, no, honey, like it was.
No, you weren't a very pretty. You weren't a very.
No, I know that. I've seen the initial, because there's two, and one is taken slightly after where I have clothes on, but then there's like the first one, and it's hideous.
You were ugly.
Yeah.
You really were. You were not.
Again, everything's a circle. I was really cute and handsome for a while. No,
you're very good looking now, but
Horse
you were
hair.
not. You were not. A handsome baby, and this is terrible to admit this.
Sure, of course not. I was yanked out
I
with a pair
know.
of
I
metal
realize
fucking-
intellectually knew that, but I got to tell you what happened.
So
this
whose
is
fault?
terrible.
Here's my question: whose fault was it? Was it then? Was it my fault or your fault?
Or their fault.
Or was it just the universe's?
I think it was just nature, something. Who knows? It was
It's
fate.
your vagina's fault.
Okay, whatever.
It's your muscles.
And this is terrible to me.
90
and it's one of the how you have these guilt things. The woman next to me, it was her second baby.
Mm.
Very easy birth. And he was a beautiful, beautiful baby boy. Gorgeous. And then there was you. And what hurt me is all the nurses would come in and coo and ooh and ah over this baby.
This explains fucking everything. This explains everything. This was happening.
And they just looked at you and tried to smile.
I can't believe you just told me that.
I know,
This is still recording, right?
You never heard that story.
Battery low. Holy shit, the battery's low. But
All right,
we
then
got
better
this.
stop it.
I have a whole nother set of batteries.
All right, let's just say goodnight, folks. It's getting
We're
late.
gonna leave it at that?
Yeah. I know, I never told you that story because I felt so upset with myself. You were my son. And I wanted the pretty baby, not the only one.
Now, here's the thing.
But the thing is, it's funny because when I looked at you, after you started developing a little bit better, honest to God, I have to show you my baby picture and your baby picture. And people got annoyed with me because they said you looked like your father. You did not.
I look like you.
You were the spitting image of me. You would have sworn that I was your... Yeah. When you got a little older.
I'm getting nervous. I think I'm gonna at least stop. I'm recording this on the cell phone because I don't have time to put batteries in the recorder.
You're going to be able to switch it.
But I'm ready to, yes.
You can.
We folded out the couch bed, and you said that you wished that I had recorded the Hashish story the first time because my reaction was better.
Yeah.
And I said I reacted well to the ugly baby story. And then you said... You said...
I told you about you being ugly, but I forgot to tell you about your screws.
She said, because I don't even know if that's clear. You said I forgot to tell you about your scrotum. And I looked up from my book and went, what? Like it was one of those, what about my scrotum?
All right, your scrotum. Getting back to when you were first born, your father and I were very naive, and we looked down at the crib, and your scrotum, your balls were huge.
Oh, thank God, ladies and gentlemen. Thank God. I thought this was going to be bad.
And your father thought, I guess he was like proud because he thought it was like having a big penis.
Well, it is.
No,
It's better than a big penis.
no, it wasn't in your case. It was like water retained in your balls. They had
The water retained in my balls.
Yeah. It's not an unusual thing for
Maybe,
newborns.
when I got stuck coming out, like the bird. The pressure made my balls swell.
You don't need to remember this implant. What the hell? You were a baby. What are you going to do? Okay, well, we told that funny story, so now we better go to bed. Are you going to make it part of the
Yeah, you're goddamn right. I'm going to put the story about my balls up on the podcast. Why wouldn't I?
We had a long talk tonight. You learned a lot.
Let's go back to the one you're worried about what's going to be put out there. And you're talking about...
Well, I said it in a nice way. I said scrotum, and it's a medical condition.
Did I tell you about your scrotum? No, Mom, I'm 38. Is there something I shouldn't know? All right, good night.
Okay, good night.
Okay, love you. Say good night to everybody.
Good night, everybody. Hope you enjoyed our podcast. It's my first and probably my last. Bye.
No, it's too good. It's too good to be your last. Love you.
I love you too.
Don't waken me tomorrow.
Hope your audience enjoys.
You're not going to wake me tomorrow, right?
No.
Okay.
We both said that you're going to sleep as late as you. I know how you play this.
It might be a long time.
We're just going to go into the front hall.
You know, what's his name from the Wu-Tang Clan said, I don't sleep because sleep is the cousin of death. But I sleep.
Yes.
But what I say is, I sleep because sleep is the cousin of death.
You know what Shakespeare said? That sleep unravels the cares of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Because even way back then, they knew how important sleep was.
You know what else Shakespeare said? That's not my real name. Okay, let's wrap up this podcast with an audio rip from the last video I have of my parents in our family kitchen, recorded back in 2010, presented here in its raw, unedited version. If you'd like to see the video, the link is available in the episode notes at opusmarcuspodcast.com. Thanks for listening, everyone. The next episode's in 2 weeks. Hope you'll be there. Peace out. Do you have anything,
You're taking my picture? Don't do that.
Do you have anything to say? Not
No,
a picture.
am I being recorded?
Yes, it's a videotape.
No, I have nothing to say.
I mean, I don't either. Digital recording.
Don't.
Nothing?
Nothing.
For posterity?
No.
How's that wine?
Closing the toilet seat.
The wine is... That's for posterity. Keep the toilet seat down because the cats drink out of the water. There you go.
Okay. Well, I haven't been around any
And
females in quite a
to
while,
life.
so... To life, the universe, and everything.
Okay,
Right.
so I want to know what Mark's going to have.
What do you mean?
Fish food, New York Super Fudge Chunk,
Oh my god.
or what was the other one?
I don't remember. I'll probably go with the New York Fudge Chunk tonight. Can you turn the lights on? Thank you. This is Maria
Oh, please don't now.
with blonde hair
Right.
and a tan. That's Gary.
Looking at food in the refrigerator as usual.
Black plums, too.
Mm,
I know you like those.
I love them.
They're the best. Black plums.
And down here,
And green olives.
oh, she's a good girl. I
Did the
can't
Phillies
see.
win?
I have no idea.
You can put that away now.
Okay, I will
Please.
when I'm ready. When the time's right.
Would you stop with that, please?
Am I making you nervous?
Yes, very much. So I'd like to have a sip of wine without.
Are you?
the
Would you
camel.
be set to know that
Action News.
207 people may
No,
possibly
it better
view
not
this?
Be. No, it better
Where
not
did you
be.
find the cap to the stuff that was in your cream or whatever it was?
No, I never did.
Is it leaking out?
Probably.
Is that right?
Yeah.
She got in the car and took a cap off of this cream, put it on her hands, and like 30 seconds later said, "Where's the cap?"
And I still can't find it either.
Well, I would, you know what? I would find the cream
fucking hilarious.
first.
I found the cream. It's the cap I can't find.
I know, but I would cream out of my purse.
Here it is, right here.
Oh, what was that? Like $15 for that little thing?
No, it's a sample for free from a hotel.
Oh, then you could throw it away.
Aunt Sarah gave it to me. My secret lover was too cheap to get this for me, so I had to get Aunt Sarah to get it.
All right, hold on to now. Sports is on.
Yeah, right. Oh, you can stop for sports.
Back to second when he jams his left ankle into the bag. Ouch. He's helped off the field. X-rays negative. Charlie Manuel says he doesn't think Howard will miss more than a few days. That's possibly good news.
What was
Pick it
the
up.
score?
He needs a
Tied
few
at
days
2 in the
off.
6 until Adam Dunn up, over, and out.
Not him
off
again.
Cole Hamels' 2-run homer. The Phillies down 4-2, but
Oh,
in the 7th,
it's not
they
over.
start chipping away at that deficit, and they get even. How about this? Time run at third. Francisco hustles here and avoids the grounding into the inning-ending double play. Tying run in. It's 4-4.
4-4.
Extra innings we go. In the 11th, runner on third.
11th inning.
Blanco comes up big. The RBI single. Phils would get 2 in the inning. So bottom of the 11th. Phils go back.
Oh my God,
to
Brad
back.
Lynch!
Oh
Oh my God!
1-2-3-11 for his 11th save of the season.
Oh,
Phillies win 6-4
they won
and
6-4.
in Washington. Can the Phils gain some ground in the standings?
And Atlanta lost, I think.
Tied at 1 in the 5th. Orlando Cabrera routine grounder.
Look, Atlanta.
Not so much.
That's
Alex
Atlanta game.
Gonzalez boots it. Thank you. A run in, and that's Atlanta loses 2-1. So the Phils.
So they
are
pick
now
up a
2.5
full
games
game.
back
Nice.
in the NL.
They're 2.5 out.
Well, is this a sports cast or Grey's Anatomy? A bunch of Phils are hurt. So are a bunch of Eagles. Defensive back Asante Samuel is carted
All
off
right.
today with a hamstring injury.
After all that, they
Running
won
back
the
Mike
game.
Bell goes down with the same
All they lost
exact
was
thing.
Ryan Howard.
Downplaying their injuries. Andy Reid was plenty to talk about with trainer.
Who else?
Rick Burkholder
Look at Andy
today.
Reid.
Linebacker
Last
who
year,
was
he
finally
lost all
back
his
from
weight.
hamstring
Look at him
spasm.
now.
Receiver Deshaun Jackson also out with a lower back strain. Both are not considered serious. So without Jackson, the rest of the receivers.
I can't believe that cat's still
trying
sleeping
to
there.
get their timing down with new quarterback Kevin Cobb. And so far,
Is she alive?
Yeah, she's alive.
Now we got to deal with the doors again with the cats.
Say some final advice.
We're gonna watch The Wire tonight.
What's your advice for people in life?
My advice is to stay strong, be helpful, be smart, be brave, be powerful, be kind, and be loving to everyone, even your pets. let's say something bad happened to you. Move on. It already happened. Just move on to the better things in life.
After all that, they won the game.